Elves are one of the most well-known and enduring types of fae across various mythologies, particularly in Germanic and Norse traditions. Unlike the small and mischievous fairies of later folklore, elves were originally depicted as powerful, mysterious beings who were closely tied to nature, magic, and fate. Their portrayal has evolved over centuries, from divine-like spirits to the more humanized versions seen in modern fantasy. In early Norse and Germanic mythology, elves, or álfar, were supernatural beings associated with beauty, wisdom, and the forces of nature. They were often divided into different groups, the most common being the Ljósálfar, Light Elves, and Dökkálfar, Dark Elves. According to the Prose Edda, written by Snorri Sturluson in the 13th century, the Light Elves were radiant, living in a realm called Álfheim, and were considered benevolent spirits. They were often associated with fertility, art, and inspiration, similar to later Renaissance depictions of muses or guardian spirits. Conversely, the Dark Elves, sometimes confused with dwarves, were thought to dwell underground and were often more sinister in nature, linked to shadows and decay. Elves were believed to have a deep connection with the land, and many folktales warn against disturbing places considered sacred to them. In Scandinavian folklore, elf mounds, known as elfhole, were thought to be their dwellings, and anyone who disrespected these places risked their wrath. People would leave offerings of food or milk to appease them, hoping to earn their favor. There are numerous stories of elves enchanting humans, either as a blessing or a curse. Those who pleased the elves might receive gifts of knowledge or healing, while those who angered them could be cursed with illness, madness, or even death. One famous tale from Icelandic folklore tells of a farmer who tried to build a barn on an elf hill. Despite numerous setbacks, tools going missing, mysterious accidents, and livestock falling ill, he persisted. One night, he was visited in a dream by an elf woman, who warned him to abandon his efforts. Taking the warning seriously, the farmer relocated his project, and his misfortunes ceased. This reflects a common theme in elf lore. They demand respect, and those who ignore their presence do so at their own peril. In medieval literature, elves were sometimes merged with the concept of fairies, taking on more mischievous and trickster-like traits. By the time of Shakespeare, they had become smaller, more playful beings, as seen in A Midsummer Night's Dream, where Puck and the fairy court resemble mischievous spirits rather than powerful otherworldly beings. However, remnants of the older, more formidable elves persisted in traditions such as the Wild Hunt, where ghostly elves or fae beings were said to ride through the night sky, sometimes abducting unwary travelers. The influence of elves continues to shape modern storytelling. J.R.R. Tolkien's reinterpretation of elves as noble, immortal beings in The Lord of the Rings was inspired by Norse and Celtic traditions, reviving their image as majestic and wise rather than mischievous tricksters. This version of elves has since become a staple in fantasy literature, games, and media, showcasing their adaptability and lasting appeal. Ultimately, elves represent the mysterious and often unpredictable power of nature. Whether as ethereal beings of light, mischievous woodland tricksters, or dangerous spirits of the wild, they embody the belief that the world is alive with hidden forces, rewarding those who respect them and punishing those who ignore their presence. Their legacy endures, reminding us of the thin veil between the mortal and the magical.